there probably could be more collaboration between retailers and landlords. Leon, have you had any thoughts as to how landlords and tenants could collaborate and where you think we could get closer, what we could do better as a community?
Firstly, start if both the retailer and the landlord have a good understanding of who the customer is that they're trying to serve.
But we both have different agendas in terms of what we're trying to achieve.
We've had so many instances in the last 5 years where shopping centres don't make it because of that lack of understanding of who the customer is.
I just want to take the discussion to maybe a collaboration angle and partnership angle. I often describe, our job or our industry. I often perceive a shopping center to be a department store, from my perspective, and I always try and view it that way. And the bread and the milk on the furthest corners, you need that every day. So you walk to the furthest corners, which are the supermarkets, and as you come out, it's all the fun and the knickknacks that you don't need, and you end up buying those. So I often play that in my mind, try keep the experience as best as possible for our shopper, which is, in a way, it's like a buying relationship. We're buying, our product is effectively the brands which you guys hold so dear. I certainly think there's often, and maybe in these relationships it's different because we've been doing it together for so long, and there is true collaboration and there is honesty in all these things, but we both have different agendas in terms of what we're trying to achieve. And I think there probably could be more collaboration between retailers and landlords, and I genuinely mean that. I'll give an example. I think quite recently we had a chat about Fourways Mall where we were speaking about, we think it's time for us to extend the trading hours. We need to push that out later. We think there's a case. People leave Sandton City. They're only getting to Fourways at 6 o'clock. Let's trade later. And it was only after the meeting with you where you mentioned, have you guys considered free parking after 6? Is that a thing? And I was like, geez, why couldn't we do that? Why can't we do that? Why can't we drive shoppers there, make the case? And I think more of that can happen. And I think sometimes we need to take blinkers off. It's easy to say when I go to the shareholders and we're going to write off, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of rands a month income. A great idea was canned. For the record, we are actually seriously considering that angle, and it's purely off a meeting with a seasoned retailer where that kind of thinking comes out. Leon, have you had any thoughts as to how landlords and tenants could collaborate and where you think we could get closer, what we could do better as a community?
I think it firstly start if both the retailer and the landlord have a good understanding of who the customer is that they're trying to serve, who's the customer frequenting the mall. I sometimes find that there's a disconnect sometimes between who is perceived to be the customer in that center, and then that sometimes causes collaborative efforts maybe not to work. So
you mean the landlord having a different perspective of who his shopper is?
Of who the shopper is, or having different perspective of what that shopper's needs might be. I mean, we've had so many instances in the last 5 years where shopping centres don't make it because of that lack of understanding of who the customer is. So maybe not answering your question at all, but I think.
But I think you make a good point, and you're saying is truly understanding who the shopper is. That's how the retailer
just sharing of information on the customer, because I mean at the end of the day we both serving the same customer. Understanding that customer, what those customers' needs are. They want to maybe have access to cash, but there's no bank in the center, or they need to get their grant payment, but there's no SASSA office. Therefore, they're still going into the CBD and not supporting the center. So, I think it for me it goes back to the understanding of the customer.